Rube, this is bad.
Agree.
I mean, there's just no way around this. The Eagles during the week make a defensive coordinator switch. Then they come out here. The offense is awful. No one's even paying attention to how bad the offense is. The defense gives up a 92-yard drive to lose the game to a backup quarterback. If you weren't pressing the panic button before, push it now.
Yeah, I mean, your hand-picked defensive coordinator is running the show, and it's the longest you probably looked this up, the longest game-winning drive against the Eagles to close a game in 16 years. It's inexcusable. And I mean, there was a while in this game where it looked like the defense was playing better. They were tackling better. They were covering well. Metcalf didn't hurt them. You're starting to think, yeah, and they were pretty good against the run early. I mean, the first half, you feel like they're on track. They're going to win this game. But the offense kind of didn't do enough to create any separation. And then second half, the defense just fell apart. And the last 2 minutes, they fell apart in a huge, embarrassing way. And it's a bad look when you change defensive coordinators and your new guy is at the helm for a 92-yard game-ending touchdown drive. Not game-ending, but close to it. I'm sure we'll get into those last 28 seconds. To Drew Lock. I mean, he's a guy who has won 8 games in 6 seasons. Just can't happen. And it did happen.
Yeah. Complete disaster. The Eagles lose 20-17 to the Seahawks at Lumen Field. This is the Eagle Eye Podcast presented by Nissan. He's Reuben Frank. I'm Dave Zangaro. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know where to start with this. The Eagles got some help. The Cowboys lost, and you're thinking, okay, the division's right there for them. And, we can get into all the playoff scenarios, but, it doesn't even matter. They have to win a football game at some point here.
Yeah, and I mean, I think they'll beat the Giants, but I don't know. I mean, who knows, honestly, at this point. I mean, this is a Seattle team that lost 4 straight games. They were in the bottom 10 in offense, defense, run defense, rushing off. I mean, everything. They had their backup quarterback in there who, maybe the Eagles should have had their backup quarterback. It's another question for later. It just kind of got away from them. And, there was a point in the second half where you kept waiting for them to kind of open, build a 13-point lead, a 17-point lead, kind of put it away. And they just kept shooting themselves in the foot with bad play calling, bad execution, missed tackles on defense. And they just couldn't put this team away. And there was a point where it's like, when you can't put a team away, no matter how bad they are or how mediocre they are, eventually it's going to catch up with you. And I thought that's what happened. Now Seattle are very well coached. They don't give up. Down 10, whatever, down 7, fourth quarter. They keep playing hard, and they did that. And the Eagles I kind of sensed that they thought they had the game won maybe at some point in the second half. They just stopped doing the things they'd been doing on both sides of the ball. I'm pointing the finger right at Nick Sirianni. I'm tired of talking about the coordinators, and I don't think certainly Brian Johnson had a bad day. And I think all 3 coordinators had a bad day. But Nick.
What Michael Clay do to you?
Yeah, Michael Clay had another good day. But I think, and this is something you brought up during the week. I mean, it's Nick's. I think we're too focused on the coordinator sometimes, and it's Nick's. Nick runs the show. He's the head coach. He's making all the decisions to put these guys in place. And his team has now lost 3 straight games. His team is, got blown out twice in a row. His team blew a 10-point lead to a team that lost 4 straight games with a backup quarterback. He's having a bad month.
Yeah, and he skates by too much on the offense. It's his offense. I know Brian Johnson's calling the plays. It's Nick's offense. And now he makes a switch at defensive coordinator, which, look, it can work, right? It's not like this is doomed to fail, but if you do it and it doesn't work out, it's all on you. And right now it's all on Nick. And it's a shame in a way because this defense should have had a good performance. And it looked like they were going to. And it would have been a good story. Everyone would have been saying, all right, maybe Nick Sirianni figured something out here. Maybe Matt Patricia is the right guy to lead this defense. No. I mean, it ended up being a nightmare. I don't know where you want to start. If we
not only would it have been a good story, it is a good story on my laptop if you want to read it. It's written.
Some multiverse. That's the lead on your 10 obs.
Yeah. It was. And they were, look, at halftime, I mean, they'd given up like 79 yards and 3 points. You feel pretty good about where the defense was. I don't know. Where do you want to start? You want to tell me what bothered you the most?
Again, it's the offense because they're supposed to be. There's no reason for them to be this bad. Now I know Jalen's sick. It's not an excuse. He's out there. If he's not healthy enough to play, get him off the field. This offense has too much talent to not score 20 points in 3 consecutive games. It's atrocious. There's no reason for that. This is a team with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Jalen Hurts, the best offensive line in football, a pretty darn good running back. How are they this talented and not putting up points? To me, that is way more egregious than anything the defense did today or has done in the last few weeks.
I think they're equally egregious because certainly giving up a 92-yard game-winning drive to Drew Lock with 1:52 left is pretty bad. But, I mean, for me, the 2 plays that just kind of, I don't know, crystallized how awful the offense was and the play calling was were the 2 interceptions because they were both plays that didn't need to be called. Because, first of all, when's the last time Quez Watkins made a play? I mean, he's had 5 bad plays since his last good play, like the 2 Dallas interceptions with Minshew, the Super Bowl obviously dropped, the fumble, and then today an interception. And even Nick said he's got to be stronger to go to the ball. We've known that for 2 years. He hasn't made a play in 2 years, and the last 5 deep balls that went his way have turned into a disaster. So why do they keep trying it? And in that situation, you were grinding. I think it was 8:15 left. You had the lead. You were grinding it. You were grinding out yards. You were running the ball. The underneath stuff was going well. I don't think Jalen really had the strength to throw an accurate deep ball. It seemed like he was under.
It was certainly late. Yeah,
it was late. I just thought they had all the momentum before that play, and it was a play that never had to be called because I thought they were going to run out the clock and win the game. Go down and score, win the game.
Yeah, and now the defense does hold up on that next drive. They force a punt. But, I mean, that doesn't erase the fact that you had a chance to chew more clock and put up points on that drive if you don't throw a deep ball to Quez Watkins, who, by the way, declined an interview request after the game.
And he was – I mean, look, Love held his jersey, but, look, that's football. But the second one to me was even worse because, Jalen gets 20 yards. You're on the 45. I know the conditions weren't great, and Jake's probably not going to make a 61-yarder in those conditions. You have 2 timeouts left, and I'm just going to do the math in my head here. 20 yards gets you to 20 yards makes it a 53-yard field goal, right? Because that gets you to the 35. So a 55, you need 18 yards for a 55-yard field goal, which might have been his limit at that point. Maybe it was a little more. We've seen him make 59-yarder in bad conditions. Nobody in the history of the game has been more accurate on long field goals than Jake Elliott. He's never missed from 59 and out. I think your best chance to win that game is to try to get Jalen Hurts. You got this MVP candidate, at least a couple of weeks ago he was. You can't get 18 yards with 2 timeouts. Now, you're going to need to, save one for the field goal attempt, but it could be a spike or whatever. But you're going to get the first down if you get to 18 yards, so you spike it and you go kick a field goal. Your best chance to win that game is take it to overtime with a 55-yard field goal, and throw the deep ball down to the 15-yard line. It just made no sense. And I hated both those plays. I don't know. I keep going back and forth on which one I hated more. I mean, it might seem desperate when you're on, just 28 seconds left and you get the ball to 25, but you've got the best kicker, at least him and Tucker, the two best kickers in the league, best long range kicker I've ever seen. Give him a chance. We've never seen him fail in that situation. And I mean, how bad were the conditions at the end of the game?
It was raining pretty hard.
Okay.
Yeah.
So even 55.
Yeah. But even if you're not saying you're going to try, get into a range where you can throw a bomb.
Yeah.
Give yourself a chance.
Yeah. Yeah. It was And both those plays had no chance. I mean, the Quez Watkins, that might have been a 5% play right there.
Yeah.
It was just
it's not a high percentage play. It's just not.
Yeah. So those are the two things that bothered me the most, I think. And they were both offensive things. Just inexcusable. And it's easy to blame Brian Johnson, and I will, but Nick's offense, Nick's team.
Yeah. What did you make of Jalen in this game? And then I was not in the Jalen Hurts press conference. Did you guys carry it?
Yeah, we did.
What did you make of some of his comments, apparently about commitment?
Questioned commitment, and then he was asked what I think Zach Berman asked, what do you mean by you're not seeing the commitment, or we need more commitment? And he said, I don't have my dictionary with me. So, he wouldn't, but you used the word. Now you're saying, I don't know what it means. It was a bizarre exchange. I mean, I don't know if he was backtracking or what, but he questioned the commitment, said that's a pretty heavy thing to say.
Yeah.
And then to follow it up with, well, I don't know what it means because I don't have my dictionary with me. That's just it. Look, come on. I know you're sick, but you don't say that if you can't explain it, expound on it, help us understand what you mean by that. And he seemed pretty despondent, understandable. He was rambling a lot, but that was the thing that jumped out at all of us.
Yeah.
On post game, it's like, if you say that, you better prepare. Like Fletcher last week made the comment about, the dudes showing up and all that. And like, what do you mean by that? And he expounded on it. He explained what he meant. Yeah. Jalen's got to do that. You can't make a comment like that and then, try to pretend you didn't say it or not be willing to explain what you mean.
Yeah, I mean, the franchise quarterback questioning the commitment of his teammates, like that's a pretty big story. And look, I understand that it's a frustrating loss, but in these frustrations, like some stuff sometimes comes out.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. I talked to AJ Brown a little bit after this game, just disappointed, dejected. I asked, he's like talking about going back to work. And he's like, I don't even know what to work on. I think this team has no answers right now. And that's really scary because if a team loses a game and they feel like, yeah, we lost that game, but this is why we lost this game, and we can fix it if we do this, this, and this. I don't think that's where this team is right now. I think this team is right now losing games with no answers, and that's a scary place to be, especially at the stretch run of the season.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and I think they kind of like you can rationalize away the 49ers and Dallas games. Those are two really, really good teams. They had extra rest. Eagles were coming off a really tough stretch of overtime game, travel, short weeks, all that stuff. It's like, all right. But then I think this is the one. And every piece of sound that we had from the locker room, whether it was Kelsey, Fletcher, Jalen, even Nick, I mean, they seemed like they were just searching for answers. And I think that's why Jalen seemed kind of, I don't want to say incoherent. That's not the word, because parts of what he said made sense, but he was reaching. He didn't know what to say. And he was, I think you're right. They don't have answers, and I don't think they really know where to look for them. And you look at the coach, and he's, changing coordinators, and but he's never been through this. It's like they're all looking to him for guidance and leadership. He lost 3 straight early in his first year. But
that's different. Yeah,
that wasn't the team coming off a Super Bowl and a 10-1 start. Yeah, it's.
I'll tell you what. Of all the, so I was in the locker room and trying to get a feel for the mood. You're right. I felt like a lot of players did not have answers. A lot of dejected players. The one guy I felt like really did have, at least he showed some confidence, was Fletcher.
Yeah.
I think he's going to need to be one of the key leaders for this team down the stretch, because he spoke clearly. He was convicted in feeling like they can get this fixed, and he's going to need to be a big force in that defense, especially after you change coordinators.
Yeah, I agree with you, and we have the video on our site, so I would invite everybody to watch it. Really, he's really kind of emerged as. Fletch has always been a really quiet guy. When he does choose to speak, he really thinks it's important to do it. And these last couple of weeks he has. I thought he was really eloquent tonight, kind of outlining what this team is facing right now and what's at stake and what they still have an opportunity to accomplish, but that it's going to take a lot more than what they've done these last few weeks to get there.
Yeah, it's a little scary right now because like no matter what they do, it doesn't really seem to work. All right, do you have anything else on offense? Maybe we'll get into the coordinator switch and what Nick Sirianni said about it on the other side. Anything else offensively you want to hit?
Just that there were times, especially in the second half, because I thought Jalen. I thought his skills seemed to be diminishing as the game went on. I don't know if he was feeling worse, but there was a point where I was like, it might be time to put Mariota in the game.
Mm-hmm. Early in the game, he's run. They like design runs. They march down the field. You're thinking, oh, this is going to be the get right game.
Right.
They're going to finally put this thing together offensively. And then after that, it was like all or nothing for this offense.
I think he threw for 64 yards in the second half, 67 yards, and the 2 picks, obviously. I admire Jalen's toughness, and he'll never say he doesn't want to play, but at some point, like, I think 60% Jalen is better than 100% Mariota, but I think in the second half, I don't think he was 60%.
Yeah, I agree. He didn't seem to have the energy, which like we talked about it on pregame. It was like, like he's gonna start this game, but it was something to monitor. Yeah. And it's also why it kind of hurts when you don't take care of your opportunities early in the game. If this is a game where you get a lead, I think you kind of step on their necks and take them out of it, and they didn't do that.
Yeah, so many opportunities to do that and to turn that 10-point lead into a much bigger lead. And that's why as the game went on, as the second half went on, and I said to some of the guys in the studio, I was like, they're going to lose this game because they've had so many chances to put it away. And the Seahawks are a great team, but they're not an awful team. And they have a Hall of Fame coach. And when you give a team chance after chance, eventually they're going to take advantage, and they did.
Yeah, and even on the second to last drive, I thought, like, man, this is going to be their signature drive. They got the ball with 6:35 left. And then you even see that DeAndre Swift run for 11 yards. He slides to keep the clock rolling.
Great, yeah.
And I think, man, that was a great play. They're going to just bleed this clock. And if they have to kick a field goal at the end, they're going to leave them no time. But, man, it went the other way pretty quick.
Yeah. Yeah, no big plays. The longest play of the game was that Jalen run. After the 45.
And this is a defense that gives up big plays.
Big time. This is a terrible defense. They're 28th in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and they were without their best cornerback in this game, by the way.
Yeah, they were. Longest pass play was 18 yards. Longest pass play to a receiver was 17 yards. Just it was punchless. It was lifeless. I don't think it was all Jalen. In a combination of the head coach, the game plan, the play calling, the execution. I mean, look, there was a bunch of false starts. The one on Kelsey obviously was costly,
and also silly. But
yeah. But I mean, he knows that there's a chance they could call it. Yeah. So it's so easy to just blame all this on the defensive coordinator switch or any one thing. It's everything. It's both sides of the ball, the head coach, everything.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like the defensive coordinator was obviously such a big story, but don't get blinded by that because there's a lot more wrong with this team than just making that switch.
No doubt.
All right, let's take a break. We'll talk about that coordinator switch, what Nick Sirianni said about it, and we will try to do a Davis Positivity Corner.
I got a couple.
Okay, good. That's good. We'll need those at the end so people can start their weeks off with a little bit of joy.
You deserve a car that thrills you, a car that puts goosebumps on your goosebumps. At Nissan, we got everything from turbocharged SUVs to 100% electric vehicles that'll make your heart beat faster. Experience the thrill for yourself and shop your local Nissan store at nissanusa.com today.
Celebrity cook Steve Martorano brings his Italian-American cooking back home to Philly. Enjoy Martorano's Prime at Rivers Casino and Steve's famous meatballs with Sunday gravy, prime steaks, and more. Make reservations at Morderano's Prime on Open Table. Reuben, you know where I'm sitting right now?
CenturyLink Stadium, which now has a different name apparently.
Lumen. It's Lumen Field, but I am in the visiting coach's booth. So I'm sitting where Sean Desai was sitting all game.
You're having better week than him.
That is true. Nick Sirianni finally had the answer for making the defensive coordinator switch. I appreciate that he didn't try to hide behind the title like the Eagles did with their statement. Sean Desai is no longer the defensive coordinator. Matt Patricia is. I appreciate that Nick didn't try to hide that. What did you make of his reasoning for making the switch?
Well, his reasoning is sound. I mean, he really answered it the only way he could. We just didn't think we were good enough, and they weren't. And, I mean, obviously it looks really bad when you make the switch and your new guy gives up a 92-yard drive at the end of a game against a mediocre team.
It's that drive that stings.
Yeah.
If they hold them there, like we're talking about, man, this defense is pretty good today.
Yeah, getting up 13 points up till then. Yeah. Did you have a chance to talk to Bradberry at all?
We did on camera. I was not there for it. Okay. Apparently, this is me secondhand. So
we ran it. Yeah.
Oh, you ran it. Oh, okay. Yeah, I was not there. I left the locker room to go to. I felt like I had to be at Nick Sirianni today.
Sure.
So I left to go do that. But apparently, he just raised his hand on the touchdown, was playing to the sticks, and got beat.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah, but you know what's scary? I thought on that play he was expecting help and he was in trail coverage. I think everything's trail coverage with Bradberry now. I just don't think he can keep up.
Yeah, and it was hard to tell because nobody followed up on it, but he kept saying, I was playing the sticks, and I mean the obvious follow up is, were you coached to do that? I mean, was that the
yeah?
But it seemed like he was saying that was what I was told to do.
It was a good play call. It was a good idea to take a shot there.
A good play call for them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For the offense, I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it was. I still just can't believe they drove 92. I mean, Braden Mann did his job. He pinned it back at the 8.
Yeah. DK, I mean, they for the most part, they held DK in check all game, and then he basically drags them down the field.
Yeah. Yeah, he did.
That catch he made off the ground was unbelievable. I don't know how he caught that.
And Bradberry could have made a play there.
I thought Bradberry intercepted it.
He could have intercepted it. He could have batted it away. He could look. He's a class act. James Bradberry. He's a good guy. He's a stand-up guy. Boy, he lost it overnight. I mean, he had a great year last year. I voted for him, second team All-Pro. I mean, the analytics. I mean, he had the second lowest passer rating when targeted, and this year he's got the second highest, and that might go up. I think he was targeted 4 times on the last drive.
Yeah, the Eagles missed Slay in this game. And I know that Metcalf has killed him before, but
sure,
Slay's their best corner, and it's not close. And in a game like this, it showed up.
Yeah, and yeah, I just can you keep running them out there? I mean, right now you don't have any choice because Slay's hurt, and who knows if he'll even play again? We have no idea. They're not going to put him on AR, so maybe. I'm
pretty confident he'll play again.
Yeah, I think so too. But you never know. I mean, with surgery, you never know.
Yeah.
But my point being, I thought there was some encouraging things from Keely Ringo.
I did too. And in the first half, I thought there were some encouraging things from Sidney Brown, and I unfortunately tweeted it. And then I'll raise my hand. That was my fault for the second half.
Yeah, he missed some. He had some 2 bad missed tackles in the second half.
Shaq Leonard, man, didn't look good.
No. But you know what? And like Roby and Byard looked really good in the first half. And then, just the whole defense just stopped playing. I think Sidney will be fine. Like, I mean, he's never like.
We know he's going to give up plays.
Yeah. He's going to.
It's weird to see him miss tackles like this.
Yeah. I mean, he's a big hitter, but I think sometimes he's got to just slow down a little and just make the play. He should have had a personal foul on the sideline, probably.
He's been itching to get flagged.
Yeah.
Or to kill somebody.
I think he'll be a player. I mean, Keely's a 21-year-old rookie, and Sidney's a 23-year-old rookie. I went through the whole post-game show without calling him Sidney Jones, so I was proud of that. So at least that, like they can run. You're giving up a lot of experience for guys with wheels and athleticism and speed. Um, I'll tell you what, I'm almost ready to go with Keely and Slay when Slay comes back.
Yeah, I mean, and I wrote about it this week. I feel like they've been playing even before the Slay injury. It's like they were playing Sydney and Keely last week just because you need some legs out there. There's a slow secondary.
It is. It is. And that's what happens when you have 4 guys in their 30s in secondary.
Yeah. I don't want to get too far away from Patricia.
Sure.
So Sirianni was asked about the timing of it, and first he said, because he lied. First he said that that he wanted to make sure all the players knew before the public, and then secondly, which I think is the bigger reason, is it was a competitive advantage thing. They didn't want the opposition to know who was calling the defense, which I guess makes some sense. But you package all that together, and it looks like a real panic move from the organization.
Yeah, it does. It does. It just does. And then when the game ends the way it did, it just makes it look even worse. I mean, it's bad optics. I think the reality is that the root of the problem might not be Sean Desai or Matt Patricia. I mean, just not as talented, and it seems like the whole defense has kind of gotten old in front of our eyes. I'll
tell you what, not getting much pass rush.
I thought they were going to sack Drew Lock like 6 times.
They got him twice.
Yeah, they got him twice.
The Jalen Carter one, and Jalen Carter made some big plays in this game. That was a big sack, but they didn't get the Drew Lock enough. The pressure wasn't consistent enough again.
Yeah, I think other than 2 sacks, I mean, there weren't a lot of times where a guy was in his face. Josh Sweat made a couple big tackles for loss, but as far as getting to the quarterback, I think he's got 1 sack in his last 7 games.
Yeah. They did have a grounding, which is like a pressure play.
Yeah. I mean, he hasn't been awful, but I mean, heck, I had him for 17 sacks. I don't think he's going to get there in our little competition. If Reddick isn't getting a sack, they're not getting sacks. And I think, the other one, I think Fletch and BG split.
Mm-hmm.
But this was a game.
We saw more BG inside in this game. That was a new. We've seen that in the past, but there was that was like a tangible difference in this game. Was BG played inside at the 4-eye, and we saw Josh Sweat do that as well.
I think that last drive really illustrates the deficiencies of the pass rush because they didn't get near Drew Lock, and he was throwing the ball deep. I mean, he was taking deep drops, and he wasn't just kind of dinking and dunking. I mean, he was going for it all, and they didn't get in his face. They didn't pressure him. He had plenty of time, and that's not a good offensive line. It's not an elite offensive line.
And earlier in the year, that's where this defensive line really was coming through. It was late in games. They were closing. We talked about Hassan Reddick being the closer. Josh Sweat got one late in the game. That
BG had a couple at the end of a game. Mm-hmm. It has dried up. And again, this is an older team, and all these guys, whether you're talking about, and I think Fletch is playing well, but I mean, Fletch and BG and Byard and Roby and Slay and Bradberry, these are all guys in their 30s on defense, and they're all playing big roles. And it's week 15, and they've played a lot of snaps, and it just very well may be catching up to them. I mean, this was a different defense in the second half than the first half. Yeah. So, and Leonard, you throw Shaq in there. He's not 30, but physically,
his knees are.
Yeah.
Or his back is.
His back is. Yeah, they got some work to do on defense, and the lack of pressure. I mean, the D line is where all the big contracts are, where all the Pro Bowl guys are. Those are your stars.
All the first round picks.
All first round picks, and that's when you need them. I think the Seahawks had 2 3rd and 10s on that last drive. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to check this real quick because I think. Let's see where we are here. They had a 3rd and 10 from their own 37. That was the 34-yarder to Metcalf. It's a 3rd and 10.
Yeah. And then
And
3rd and 10 was a touchdown.
Then they had a 3rd and 10 was a touchdown. They converted 2 3rd and 10s on that drive and a 2nd and 10.
Yeah.
And they got no pressure. I mean, I don't know what you do there. I mean, I saw it, I don't know. You can't bring in a whole new defensive line for the Giants. But, yeah, it's the lack of takeaways and the lack of sacks. And those have been issues around here for a while.
Yeah.
I
agree. I'll tell you who's a big Matt Patricia fan. Patrick Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
Dude didn't play on defense all year. And then new defensive coordinator, he's out there. He's on the edge. He's lining up at off-ball linebacker, not doing much, but that was interesting to me. Now, some of that I'm sure was Nolan Smith got hurt and left the game with a shoulder injury, which, by the way, is I don't know if it's the same shoulder, but if it is, this is an injury that goes back a while. And you'll remember what he said about it in the summer. I'm paraphrasing. He basically said that it's my baby. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't.
Yeah, that's really concerning. You drafted the guy in the 1st round. Maybe he's going to need surgery when the season's over. I don't know, but yeah, could have sure used him.
Yeah. All right. Should we do a DPC?
Well, before we do, I just want to ask you about the next 3 weeks. What do you think happens? Do they get it together? I mean, the Giants stink.
They stink, but
Tommy DeVito's give them a little life. Their defense isn't awful.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, I think the Eagles are a better team than the Giants and the Cardinals, but sometimes it's dangerous facing a team with nothing to lose at the end of the year that feels like they're playing with house money. And even though the Giants stink, we think, you got to play them twice in 3 weeks. Playing any team twice in 3 weeks is not easy.
Yeah.
And with the way the Eagles are playing, it's like they can't even, after the last couple of losses, we're talking about here's what they need to do to lock up this seed or that seed or win the division. I mean, they got to try to plug some of these holes before the ship sinks completely.
They got to win a game.
Yeah.
Win a game.
And look, they are no longer, we know they were no longer in control of their destiny with the 1 seed. They're no longer in control of their destiny with the 2 seed. They still are in control of potentially winning the NFC East, I believe. They'd have to beat the Giants.
Yeah. Yeah.
But all that stuff.
There's also, I mean, they're virtually, because they have that 17 win edge and strength of victory.
Yeah.
So they'll, I still think they're going to win their next 3. Maybe I'm nuts.
I think they will, but at this point, I would not be shocked if they lose. If they lose on Christmas to the Giants.
Yeah.
Would you be shocked?
No.
Yeah. I mean, this is bad right now. They just lost to a team without their starting quarterback and without their best defensive player.
Yeah. Wagner might still be their best defensive player, but one of their top 2.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I don't disagree.
Yeah.
There's and it's a short, it's not really short week because they play next Monday, but long travel. They just seem gassed. This team just seems like they just ran out of steam. They just ran out of juice.
Yeah.
So we'll see if they can get it back. All right. Dave's Positivity Corner. It's time.
You want to go first or want me to go first?
This is the first time we've done Dave's Positivity Corner 3 weeks in a row since Nick's first month as head coach. You want to go first? It doesn't matter. Yeah,
I'll go first. How specific should I be here? I'll say the punter. I was going to say special teams.
That's all I got.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm jumping out here first. The punter's good. Even when he punts bad, he punts good because it got a good roll.
Yeah, you're right. He's got the highest. He's got 13. No, he's got 14 inside the 20 and no touchback or 1 touchback this year. Yeah, that's pretty good.
He's been good.
He's been really good. And that last one down to the 8 was clutch. I'll give, we talked about Keely Ringo, but I do consider him a positive today. He really hadn't played at all until last week. And you saw some growth. He looks I mean, look, they've got some elite receivers, and he didn't have any major mess ups. Bradberry was worse than him. This is his first career start. He's got a lot of work to do, but I saw some things there that I think I really liked. And, we were wondering about him because, I mean, he was behind Ricks, he was behind Job, and you're starting to wonder, they drafted this guy, in the 4th round. What's going on here? But, one thing we know about Nick, he likes to bring guys along slowly. And Ringo, I thought it was a good first start.
Yeah, and he is like super young, and we knew he
21.
was raw. So, but they were rotating there too. Like we saw some Eli Ricks outside, who
Yeah.
I actually thought played fairly well too. And we saw some Josh Jobe outside too. The Josh Jobe DPI was really funny because all 3 refs in the area threw a flag. It was the most in agreement call there's been in the NFL all year.
Yeah. I mean, he's so handsy. It's just,
Makes him a really good special teams player.
Yeah, that's true. He's got a lot to work on as a corner.
It's my turn, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Um,
I do have one more though.
Okay. Let me think about another positive from this game. Jalen Carter. I'll give you Jalen Carter. I thought he showed up. I did think he made some big plays, even outside of the sack. I thought he was good.
Yeah, I did as well. Rick Lovato had a good game. Well, we talked about him a little earlier. I think Fletch is playing well, and I don't think he's the problem. He's probably playing more snaps than it's ideal. He's actually played the most snaps of any interior lineman on the team, and second in D-line snaps behind Sweat. I like his leadership. I like that he's speaking out now, which he doesn't always do. Usually you get a lot of cliches from Fletch, and but he's he's really set the tone, I think, for that locker room. So I kind of put that in there with his play. His play's been fine.
Yeah.
He's not the Fletch of old, but he's okay. That's all I got, Dave.
Not something from this game, but Avonte Maddox. We saw him on the side field last week. ESPN's Tim McManus said the Eagles are expected to open that practice window for him this coming week. So, I mean, not an imminent return, but I think that's a real positive. I know he's really struggled to stay healthy, especially the last few years, but he is a playmaker in the secondary, and the Eagles could certainly use that.
Yeah. I got nothing else.
Had a nice vanilla latte in the press box.
Oh, yeah, they got that Starbucks in there, huh?
Mm-hmm. That was good.
Oh, by the way, speaking of Positivity Corner, Danny Pomel's mom makes chocolate chip cookies every year.
Mm-hmm.
And they are the best chocolate chip cookies you've ever had. And Danny walks in with this bin. It's like 8 feet. Like it's got to be 300 cookies in there. And I come up after a post-game show, there's no cookies left. And, the Sixers were in the building tonight. So all the Sixers, we had like double the producers and production assistants, all that. And, God, somebody said they saw Ricky Bottalico running in here, getting 20 of them and running out. But
it's not even baseball season, Ricky.
Well, I think so. But yeah. So that's positivity. Mrs. Pomel's makes I had one makes the best cookies.
Yeah. After our crazy Sunday morning with all the news, I did get to hang out in Seattle a little bit. I like this city.
It's a great city.
Yeah. Saw some seals on the sound. It's nice.
Seals on the sound.
Yeah. That's all I got. Wrap this up.
Yeah.
All right. Let's wrap this up. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it. I will be traveling all day Tuesday. So it doesn't sound like just for fans, it doesn't sound like there's a day after press conference with Nick Sirianni.
We're not going to make Matt Patricia and Sean Desai available.
A dual press conference. That'd be fun. All right.
We did it with Cobb and Vic, right?
Yeah. If you enjoy the Eagle Eye podcast, please rate and subscribe wherever you get your pods. If you're watching on YouTube, please click that like button, subscribe there as well. That's it. We'll be back with you during the week. We won't have a Tuesday pod because I'll be traveling all day.
Because it's Tuesday now.
It is Tuesday now. Not for me. I'm still in West Coast time. But, yeah, we'll be back on Thursday with the normal schedule. We'll talk to you then. Take care, everyone. Have a nice few days. This it for Eagle Eyes. I find the end here. There it is. See you guys.